Hi everyone, welcome back to the show High Vibes on the Mic, and this is Veronique. And today we have two guests, our first couple in the show. I'm very excited. So today we're going to talk to Angela and James. How are you guys?
Oh, thanks for having us, and we're honored to be two guest episode.
The first, absolutely. We take that with extreme pride and honor.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very excited and very curious to talk to you today. So for our guests, I have to say that you guys are calling you from Peru. You live in Peru, and we can talk about that later, when you move over there with your kids.
Sure.
And, and so today we're going to talk about couples, intimacy, and that's why I'm very happy to have a couple to talk about it. And they are specialists in it. They know what they're talking about. And my first question, because I went to your website, and I really love that the word intentional is very big on your website. So can you tell us what inspired you to create love intentionally? Can you tell us from your personal journey as a couple, what made you want to work with other couples?
Yeah. I love that question. Thanks for asking it. I think our approach is a little unique because we are a married couple. We've been together 15 years, married for 13 of those. And I was already a counselor when we met. James was an entrepreneur at the time and then became a coach, transformational coach, working with entrepreneurs, men, all sorts of things. And so it really started as our own personal journey where we, from the get-go, wanted to be intentional with our relationship. I had a list of 10 things that I was looking for in a partner. The first 5 were non-negotiable. The other 5 were like, these would be really great to have.
And I hit all 10.
Or at least 9.
Of course you did.
It's at least I got the top 5. Not all.
He got all the non-negotiables for sure.
And being intentional, I chose to work on the 10.
Yeah, there we go. So we do kind of from the beginning. I busted my list out on really our first date.
Real date.
Date 2, but really first real date. I busted him out. I'm like, here's what I'm looking for. And if you don't have these things, cool, we'll just be friends. But
wow.
So we were really intentional from the start. But how Love Intentionally really started was a premarital counseling fail. I was a counselor. And so I said, let's do premarital counseling. It's great. We're going to talk about how we're going to parent together. I already had one child and we wanted to have more, how we're going to handle our finances, who's going to clean the toilet, right? Like very important things we're going to decide.
That's not a joke either. That's like a legitimate, who's
a concern.
The toilets.
Yeah, everybody has to do it, so I understand.
Someone has, right? And I'd rather
they don't clean themselves.
So we go to premarital counseling, and again, I'm a counselor, love counseling. And she really focused on how we fought, how we handled conflict. I think she was very used to working with couples in crisis.
Which is what counselors are
often
trained.
Doing, right?
That's what they're trained to do.
Yeah, which is not necessarily a bad thing. They help lots of couples who are struggling to get better. But we were already in a good place and we just wanted to be proactive. And I don't think she knew what to do with that. And so I ended up leaving a counseling session abruptly, which was not my personality. I ended up crying in the parking lot, James consoling me, and he's like, I think we can do this on our own.
Yeah.
So we kind of combined his entrepreneur skills. He was used to business planning and having this strategic approach to his business. I was like, let's talk about our feelings and how we connect and how we handle conflict. And so we decided to go away together for a weekend and just talk about all the important things, figure out how we were going to handle them, set goals. And really, it was kind of in that moment, we didn't realize it then, but that Love Intentionally was born. We were like choosing to be intentional. And we started to do that every year. And funny enough, we are actually currently taking an hour out of our own marriage retreat to do this interview because we do it annually.
14th is our 14th annual.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Happy anniversary.
Yeah. So we do it every year. We get away for a couple days. We talk about all the important stuff and just really set out that intentional life together.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, I like that you said that, it's there was not somebody to help you when you actually were doing good and you wanted to be better.
Yes.
And yeah, it must have felt, why are we here? Why are we doing this? We're already doing good and she's not helping us. Question for James quickly. She didn't scare you off when she arrived with the list on the first date?
That's a great question.
Usually men just ran away.
No, her honesty was refreshing.
Okay.
And there was just something special about her where I was in a period of life where I was wanting to explore how to just date and be a little more free. And then she came along.
Stole it.
Right
And
time, right person.
exactly. Well, and she was the future that I saw. And so when she pulled out this list, it hit me. I said, oh, she knows what she wants. And I also knew what I wanted. And it just,
Yeah, it's important. We're both ready, I guess. So right time.
I don't know if I was, you could ask all my
You
friends.
have to.
Like James wasn't ready, but
Stepped up to the occasion.
stepped up to the occasion and
It's
continued.
good. That's all we need as women, as women, that you step up.
Yeah, I joked that I married him on potential. I saw it. I knew it was in there.
Yeah, I did the same for my husband. I saw a lot of potential, and I was like, yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah,
So far, so good. We really think alike, and we sometimes he says something before I said it, so it's like thinking a lot with him. So it's a very easy relationship. That's why I like, because I used to be in a very complicated relationship, thinking, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. And when I met him, it was so easy. I was like, something is wrong. It's too easy.
Right.
But actually, I think that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed not to be that hard. With someone. So. And I like the concept of a conscious relationship. Can you explain to our audience what it's important for intimacy to have a conscious relationship?
Great question. To make that, to me, the word conscious can also be a little bit, what exactly does that mean? And so we'll say what it doesn't mean, right? So the opposite of being a conscious relationship is being in a drifting relationship, where we're just out there, we're letting the tides take us and the winds take us. We have no chief aim or goal in mind, and we're just rolling with the flow. And there are times for that. There are seasons for that, and for us, we plan for those. What the conscious relationship means is that we have a direction that we're moving. We have goals that we're wanting to achieve together, and we have a strategy and a plan to get us there.
And sometimes those goals are just feelings, even. It's like, this is how we want to feel in our relationship. This is how we want to feel in our life, right? Like, these are the intentions we're showing up with, what we want to create together.
So that would be different from like a typical relationship when people they're just together and they see where that goal will go one day.
Well, yeah.
Nothing conscious.
And I think it can happen, like, no fault of necessarily the people involved, right? And oftentimes I think we set out with really great intentions, like, oh yeah, we want this in our life, and this is the kind of relationship we want. And then we have 3 kids. At points in our lives, we've each had 2 jobs, right? I mean, it's very easy to get caught up in dealing with whatever's right in front of you, right? The kids, the jobs, the things that are demanding your attention, and to put your relationships, honestly, especially if your relationship is good.
Or just fine.
Just fine,
We're
right?
cruising. I don't have to think about it.
I'll just put it on the back burner. Yeah.
Everything else is on fire. That's the one thing I can count on. And so we put it on the shelf and it starts to collect dust.
I know.
Yeah. And then some statistics from not too long ago, just a few years ago, in the US, they, were looking into divorce rates. And most populations in the divorce have really leveled out on their divorce rate. The one population that was still growing.
Any guesses? The one population that was still growing?
No idea.
Fair. Empty nesters.
Empty nesters?
Yeah. Empty nesters, yeah. So it's that population where, you might do really well as co-parents and you're juggling the soccer schedule and the feeding the kids and getting them to school and all this stuff. You're like really great roommates.
Your partner's on that.
Yeah. And then the kids leave, and somewhere along the way, you lost sight of who you are,
the connection,
who they are, right? What do we like to do together? How are we connected? So I found that really interesting. And for us, we were like, we don't want to be that statistic.
Get really great at the logistics of life and creating all of these things, only to have our children leave the house and go, wait a second.
Who are you?
We're not doing logistics anymore. So what do we do together?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. It's really important. That's something actually, we did a retreat with my husband when we got married before the wedding. And they were talking about that. They say you have to keep working on your relationship while you're married, because the kids are going to come and go, and then it's going to be only both of you alone again. So you have to have something to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say this frequently, but I also believe the best gift we can give our kids is healthy, happy parents in a healthy, happy marriage, right? Like, if we take the time for us and make sure we're taking care of ourselves and we're taking care of our relationship, then we get to model that for our kids. We give them a happy, healthy home. They also have, like, I don't know, a higher standard for what then they're looking for in a partner
Yes.
when they get older. And so I think it's really important that we model that for them, and we can only do it if we're, staying connected along the way.
I think it's very important. I have two friends that are very bad with marriage, but they say for the kids. I'm like, the kids know. They know that's not right, that daddy's been sleeping in the living room for 5 years. So I don't understand,
Yeah.
They're not stupid, they know. And yeah, I'm completely agree with you.
Yeah.
It needs to be a good model. James, earlier you talk about strategic life plan. So do you know how can couple practice maybe daily? How can they do it daily? I mean, it's not like we have to have a list today, we're going to do this and this, but maybe to have that in our routine, to be able to work on our relationship without feeling that you're really working on it. How can we do that daily?
I had I'm like, you added that until they don't feel like they're working on it. I'm like, well, that one, we're not there yet, so I can't necessarily coach or teach that. But what I can say is that we have a recipe and we have systems that we put in place to make sure that it's not working on our relationship is just a consistent aspect of it. So working on our relationship, we put a recipe to it to make sure that we each know what it takes and neither one of us is having to necessarily bring something forth or initiate or go back. This recipe allows us to just dive straight into what's important. And we have an annual retreat, which we're on right now. We do a quarterly check-in from everything we talk about in that retreat. But the one thing that we do that doesn't really feel like we're working on a relationship is our weekly check and connect. So every single Sunday, the two of us have a meeting. It takes about an hour. And you can call it a meeting. We can call it a connection. We can call it some time to drop in together. Like, call it what feels right for your relationship. That's the one time a week where we look at what's coming ahead. We look at our calendar. We figure out what we're going to feed our kids because they're going to be at karate this night and then soccer at that night.
And they want to eat so many times a day, these children.
All the time.
I know.
Okay. So this weekly check and connect situation is what really drives the consistent growth of our relationship without feeling like it's a ton of work.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I could do that with my husband. Sit down every one day in the week and say, okay, this is what we're going to do for the week. It's going to feel like another meeting, a work meeting for him.
Sure.
We have to be on the same page for this.
Yeah. And you know what? Part of me wants to go, you know what? These aren't for everybody. And the other part of me goes, they absolutely are. Because if he's having work meetings, he understands the importance of getting on the same page with the people that he's doing projects with and moving forward so we can actually get there and achieve what we want sooner and faster with more ease.
And part of how our meetings start out, we have a whole template for it. Happy to share it with you and your audience. Sure. But the first part is an emotional check-in. And for us, I mean, of course, you have a counselor.
Angela put that one on our list.
But for me, I distinctly remember there was this one week where we got to emotional check-in. Okay, how are you doing? And James said he was overwhelmed. James is never overwhelmed. Like, that is my job in the relationship, to feel overwhelmed for everyone else in the family. And so when he was like, I'm overwhelmed, I was like, oh, okay, he's overwhelmed. So I knew that week to not ask him to do that extra errand, right? And in fact, I think that week I was like, you know what? He normally does the Costco runs. I'm like, I can do the Costco shopping this week, right? Like, I have this little time on Tuesday. So I was helping support him in his overwhelm by taking some things off of his plate rather than adding to them. Had we not had that check-in, he doesn't usually feel overwhelmed. I wouldn't have even known. And then if I had asked him, hey, can you pick our youngest up from soccer? He might have snapped at me and I would have had no idea why, right?
Exactly.
So doing both the emotional check-in and then just logistical planning for the week, I really feel like helps us not only to be on the same page and the same team, but it helps us prevent a lot of potential conflict that could come from not checking in, right? Not knowing where each other is at.
And to all my people who are still resisting it, okay, I want to be in the present. I want to enjoy life.
He's
right?
more spontaneous. Yes.
And so what it did is that, and every morning we were having to have a conversation about where the kids, who's picking them up from school, what's for dinner tonight. There's all these logistical like what life needs sprinkled in every day all throughout the week. And what this did for me was it channeled in 80 to 90% of that conversation into 1 hour a week. So then we could just flow. And that changed a lot for me.
I mean, you might be good at it. My husband is horrible. I would tell him something for some, like, in 3 days we have this thing or whatever. It's on the calendar. Not gonna remember. So I'm like, what do you mean you're going out tonight with the girls? I don't know about that. I'm babysitting. I told you 2 days ago. It's on the calendar. So it's not one meeting Sunday. It's going to be 2-3 meetings per week for this guy because his mind is not with me.
Some meetings more, training than others. Yeah.
I should be curious. I mean, what I'm curious about is what thoughts are taking away his presence and his ability to focus on that. Work.
Yeah. Work.
Right?
It works.
And so that is what he's constantly holding and tracking in his mind, and you are constantly tracking and holding the family in your mind. And so it kind of feels like we're staying in our own lane here, right? And while that can get you going places, again, you're going to make it and you might end up where you're going in parallel lanes. And what we're trying to do is get on the same page together here in this intentionality.
Okay. I think I just got a free session from you guys.
Great.
So do you still offer, because you're in a retreat right now, is it something that, another retreat, or is it one of the aka love camp that you offer, that you are right now?
Yeah, so this one right now is our personal one, just the one
it's your personal one
that we've done. This is our 14th annual, so we've done it every year of our marriage. But yes, we do facilitate them at some point along the way. You know, friends they saw kind of what we were doing and how we were, living our life and reaching our goals. And they started asking, they were like, oh, can we do that? Like, can we? And so we started sharing. At that point, it was a Word document with a list of topics and questions. So we started sharing with our friends. And then the feedback we got was like, oh, this is great. Like, you should share this with the world. So we started doing that several years ago. So now we facilitate a couple a year, where we facilitate a retreat for 5 to 6 couples, and we come together and we go through all this, and they're really beautiful, lovely experiences, part strategic planning, part connection. And then we also offer an online version. So for couples that just want to do it on their own, we have a DIY version where they can watch the videos and kind of go through the process themselves, which is essentially what we're doing this weekend for ourselves.
Working on relationships is sometimes vulnerable, if you can imagine. Some couples really want to do it in that group setting, and some truly just want to go tackle it on their own. They say, we've got it. And the people that we work with are solid. They have a good relationship and they can manage these kinds of conversations without needing any help or professional stand-ins on this. So that is also, if you're wanting to do this, it is required of you to be in a place in your relationship where you can manage these conversations.
Yeah, if you're going to do it on your own. Yeah.
But that means then you can have the conversations without having to get into a group setting. And so if there's one of the people in the relationship that's like, I'm not doing this in a group.
I'll talk to you about it.
I'm not talking about my relationship with anybody else. Then you have this, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't help couples in crisis. You help people who have a good relationship and they want to be better at it, right? Just to be clear.
If people decide that they're going to be married for life, or what we like to call their ride or die, right? All in couples, those are the ones that we work with. Okay.
Now, there's a lot of that. I mean, there are a lot of great therapists and counselors out there that work with couples in crisis. So, and I think if couples are in crisis, absolutely seek help, right? And whether that's giving you clarity on stay or go or whatever, I don't have any judgment about what your final decision is, but, I think seeking help is great. What we found was that there was really kind of this void for couples that were doing well, right? We're good. Right? But we could bring more intentionality, or we could connect more deeply, or we could, be more strategic about how we're handling our finances, whatever. And every couple has their issues. Even great couples have generally one area of life that's a struggle for them, whether it's finances or intimacy or co-parenting, right? In-laws, who knows what it is. And so we really saw this void for couples that were doing all right. They're doing well, but they have a desire to either clean up this one area or to make their overall life more intentional. And those are the couples we want to help.